Hey, what's up, guys? I'm watching the Eddie Hearn interview from IFL on June 14th, 2018. Eddie Hearn Raw on Joshua Wilder contract, White Parker, etc. Alright, Coogan asked Eddie about Danny Jacobs and in relation to the Canelo fight. Eddie says that they made their initial offer, they turned it down, and they made a second offer. Um, and Eddie turned that one down also. And Golden Boy seemed to give them even a little time after the deadline to take that offer, take that fight. And Eddie felt that it wasn't good enough. He said he turned it down. All right. Now there were reports that came out saying that Golden Boy offered Danny Jacobs 20%. About a week or so ago. And when I first heard that, I was like, ooh, I felt like that was like a lowball deal, it didn't sound right for Danny Jacobs. And then I kind of did some math, did some numbers. And when I saw what that 20% came out to, I was like, well, wait a minute. He probably should take this fight. Because it would be the biggest payday of his career. And hell, I would pick Danny Jacobs to beat Canelo. I would. Because of power and size. All right. So after thinking about it, I said, you know what? This is kind of the deal of a lifetime for Dan Jacobs. Not the payday, which will be the biggest payday of his career, but getting the biggest fight of his career with one of the biggest stars in boxing, one of the biggest draws. Get him in there, and if he can knock him out, this would be huge for Dan Jacobs. I mean, huge. So I'm like, look, he needs to take this fight. So Eddie says they turned it down, right? Of course, we know the Canelo Triple G fight has been signed, the rematch, and I was saying, man, you know what? Damn, they just kind of was using Dan Jacobs, man, just to kind of go Golovkin and sign for this fight. But then after hearing Eddie talk, it's like it seemed more legitimate, the offer, because they made a second offer and then even gave him a little extension after that, saying, look, it's first come, first serve. Let us know if you want to take this fight or not. In my opinion, guys, Dan Jacobs and Eddie should have taken that fight, man. They should have taken that fight. Uh, even on the worst terms, even if it was 20% was the deal. They should have the worst deal that they could have got. And if Golden Woods said, this is it, we're not improving the offer, they should have taken that deal, guys, and just get Canelo in the ring and knock him out. Go for that knockout, man. And man, Danny Jacobs, man, look, if he won that fight, he could have got a rematch and made double. You know, if Canelo and Golden Boy wanted a rematch, he could have made even more money in the rematch, man. So, and he would, I would think, would become one of the biggest stars, one of the biggest names in the sport, beating Canelo. So, I'm gonna give you these numbers that I came up with, man. All right. The pay-per-view in the States would be $70. All right. I'm assuming that's what it would be. Let's say worst case scenario, this fight does 500,000 pay-per-view buys. All right. I think that's somewhere between, between Liam Smith and Amir Khan, or maybe a little bit, somewhere in that range. I forget those numbers, but I'm saying worst case scenario, with this being Canelo, it's a $500,000 pay-per-view. Dan Jacobs is a guy who can punch. He was on pay-per-view with Golovkin, etc. All right. So I'm projecting worst case scenario 500,000. Could be better. All right. I think this is the absolute lowest this pay-per-view should do. All right, that would be a $35 million gross from pay per view. If it had 500,000 buys, you subtract 14 million. That being what you pay back the pay per view providers, the TV networks, or the satellite companies, etc. That will come out to 21 million. All right. Now, factor in live gate, international TV, sponsorships, all those things. You're gonna have some more expenses, but after factoring all those things in, just to come out with a round number, I would say I was looking at a $30 million profit for this fight. All right, it could be less, but just for a round ballpark figure for easy math, I did 30 million. All right. Now, if Danny Jacobs got 20% of 30 million, that would have been a $5 million payday for Danny Jacobs. I believe his career high payday was 1.75 against Golovkin. So he is making what hell over what 3.25 million. He's making 3.25 million more than his biggest purse. Okay, that's on a 20% offer. All right. Now let's say it was 25% on the improved offer. This is their second offer. Let's just say it went up to 25%. I think this would have been, if I asked for a second deal, if I turned down the initial one, and I was looking for a second deal, I would hope that it had at least this much, 25%. All right. So if it was 25%, he would walk away with 7.5 million for the fight as a B-side. Biggest fight of his career, biggest payday, and he's getting a guy who fought at 154 in the ring with him. Danny Jacobs is listed as being 6'1" with a 73-inch reach, while Canelo is listed as 5'9" with a 70.5-inch reach. So that's what 4 inches in height on Canelo that he has. Pretty. He was a monster in there with Golovkin, and Golovkin's bigger than Canelo. So imagine how much bigger he would be in there against Canelo. It'd be like Munguia and Saddam Ali again. So I think the goal, guys, would have been to get Canelo in the ring, man. To get him in the ring, by any means for Danny Jacobs, man, because I would favor Danny Jacobs to win this fight. Hell, I would put money on Danny Jacobs to get a knockout against Canelo, man. Line him up for a big right hand and send him crash to the canvas, man. Danny Jacobs could easily be fighting at 168, and Canelo at one time was fighting at 154. Also factor in Canelo enrolling in the Clean Boston program. There was some people putting out images of him after doing so. His body was looking a little bit smaller, so imagine if that affected Canelo, where he had where his power diminished just a little bit. It wasn't punching with that same pop. So no, I think this was a mistake, guys. I think they should have got Canelo in the ring by any means, man. Hell, 10%, get him in the ring, man, and knock his ass out. And then Dan Jacobs becomes a star. He becomes, a star. He gets a big money rematch, man. Make even bigger money. So if he made double in the rematch, he can make anywhere from 10 to 15 million. Knocking out Canelo, and then that would give him anywhere from 15 to 22.5 million in those two fights with Canelo, man. I think they made a mistake, guys. So I don't know if Eddie made that decision on his own, or Danny Jacobs was giving him his blessing, or Danny Jacobs gave Eddie all the power to negotiate on his behalf. I don't know, but he said that he turned down the offer. He didn't say they. He said I turned it down. So I don't know, but I think they should have got Canelo in the ring, guys. You know, I think what Eddie's thinking is Jacobs win this IBF belt from Deryevchenko, whatever his name is. You know, he win that belt, and then he'll have more bargaining power at the table when it comes to fighting Golovkin or Canelo. But man, I think they should have got Canelo in the ring, guys. So you know, let me know what you guys think, and I will check in with you guys soon, man. Thanks for watching.